Your nutrition on your off days matters. I had a really interesting coaching call with one of my clients the other day where we discussed how his nutrition was excellent on his training days, but he was slacking off a little bit on his non-training days. So let me put a little bit of a backstory behind this client. He's looking to gain some weight. He has an incredibly high energy expenditure because he's a martial arts instructor and just trains all the time. And his main problem has been that he just can't get all the meals in that I have for him set, or I have set for him. So he's working on it and it's getting better and better, but his mindset was just off. His mindset was that, oh, I'm only really gonna be gaining muscle and gaining weight on the days that I train my lifts, and therefore I'm only gonna concentrate the most on that day. And I told him, no, that's not how it works. The body takes a long time to recover, and you need to be eating and making sure that your nutrition is right every day, including on the recovery days, which is just as important. So if you slack off with your nutrition on days when you're not training and you think that this is okay because you will still get results, watch this video. I want to show you that that's not exactly the optimal way to go about your nutrition program, and that you do need to make basically every single day a priority, because if you're gaining weight, if you're losing weight, no matter what, you need to be having a weekly calorie intake that is either in a deficit or is a positive energy balance. Let's first go over why it's important for you to make nutrition on your off days just as important as your on days. So when we're looking at muscle recovery, the actual recovery period doesn't just occur on the day that you train. It occurs for multiple days. Anywhere, as a matter of fact, from 2 to 4+ days. So when we train, our body is recovering, the muscle's broken down, you're making neural adaptations over a long period of time, not just one day. As a matter of fact, while you train during your next day, whether you take 48 or 24, 48, 72 hours off, you're still gonna be recovering from your previous session. So that means that you want to be feeding your body the fuel that it needs to recover and allow you to lay down new muscle and lay down new strength, or if you're on fat loss, allow you to burn fat. Clearly calories matter from day to day, but let's zoom out for a sec and take a look at what our weekly calorie intake is. This is gonna be really, really important, because from one day to another, depends how stringent you are. One day you might have 2,000 calories, another day might be 1,500 calories, another day might be 2,500 calories, etc. So if you're on obviously a really strict diet, and if you really want the best results, you should be counting these things and you shouldn't have that much variance. But let's just say that during your training days, your nutrition's on point, but during your off days, your nutrition isn't, and you're not eating enough. So what that means is your weekly calorie surplus now might not actually be a calorie surplus. It might be a maintenance, or maybe you're even running a deficit, which would be terrible, because that means that you're just not going to be making any progress and you're probably going to be losing weight. So, but then again, if you're in a fat loss, of course that matters. So if you're fat loss, you can't just have your training days where you're underneath and you're running a calorie deficit, and then your off days you screw up and say, oh, it doesn't matter as much for whatever reason. There really isn't any rationale for that, but you get what I'm trying to say. So when we look at those weekly calorie intakes, we have to make sure over the entire week that if we're trying to gain weight, we have an excess calorie intake. Otherwise, we're not going to be gaining weight. So if your off days offset your on days so much so that your weekly intake is too low, then you're not going to be gaining weight, you're not going to be getting the results that you want. And probably the most important part of all this is that during your off days, you still want to be creating good habits. So we don't want to have good habits on just our training days and then have terrible habits on our off days, because we're not exactly teaching ourselves over the long haul to have good habits. We want those good habits to hopefully last a long period of time after. So let's say, maybe you're bulking now, maybe at some point you want to go for a maintenance phase, maybe at some point you want to go for a calorie deficit, lose some fat. No matter what, you want to have it so that each and every single day you're following healthy habits that are going to compound and make you into a healthier person who can more easily attain your goals. And if you're constantly having, one day where you're doing everything right and then one day where you're doing everything wrong, you basically, have half your days good and half the days that you're sabotaging yourself, and then this doesn't exactly build the kind of habit that we want going over the long haul. So in conclusion, our muscles take 2 to 4 days to recover, meaning that even during your off days of training, your body is still recovering, your muscles are still recovering, and you need to be able to fuel it in order for it to recover properly and to build bigger and stronger muscles. And secondly, if you're trying to gain weight, make sure that your weekly calorie intake is where it needs to be, because if your calorie intake is too low for that entire week, then you're not gonna be gaining weight and you're just gonna be spinning your wheels. And lastly, you need to make sure that we want to create good habits for the long haul. So we don't want to have 50% of our habits being good on some days and then 50% of our habits being not what they need to be on other days. We want good habits each and every single day. You need to be practicing them as much as you can so that you instill them and they become automatic for a long period of time. So thank you very much for checking in to this video. If you have any friends, colleagues, family members that you think would benefit from this information, and maybe they're not having any results with their nutrition because they're not eating properly from day to day, please feel free to share this with them. I really appreciate that. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It takes you 2 seconds. I really appreciate that and it helps me out a lot. And if you like these types of videos, hit that subscribe button. Got a lot more coming to you. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.